With all this that's going on, I got to bring up Taz finishing up with the company. He's going to be done when his contract expires on March 31st. Meltzer would say his leaving was not unexpected, as the feeling was he would be done shortly after WrestleMania, but he did leave on his own terms, which Vince McMahon is not fond of. McMahon and Taz had a meeting at TV on March 30th in Dallas, and they were amicable to each other. Publicly, the word is that Taz was burned out and wanted to take time off. While wrestlers are allowed leave of absences, announcers are not. And there's a rule of thumb among announcers that you don't, under any circumstances, miss a show, which explains why Jim Ross worked the March 17th tapings in Corpus Christi while suffering from pneumonia. And while Mike Tenay worked the TNA tapings last year with a bad elbow infection that he should have avoided traveling on. So is this correct that if you're an announcer, you're not ever allowed to miss a show? Is that the way you remember it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Pardon me. Pretty much, Connie. Pardon me. I hate to see Taz go.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Just my throat is a little scratchy today, but that's just from use. I'm getting ready to start the audio portion of our book.
Hey, yeah, let's just time out. We'll take a break right here.
So
I cut it off. Hang on. Just get a minute. I want to make sure you're all right.
Yeah.
You need something to drink or something?
I got something right here.
Okay. Well, we got a timeout right now. We're not recording or anything. Everything's paused.
Thank you for taking care of me.
Of course.
Let's come back in on Taz.
Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. So, Jim, is that the way you remember it? Announcers just weren't really announced to miss any dates at all?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I don't know if that was official, but it's pretty much the fact. A lot of us announcers are so paranoid and insecure that we didn't want to be taken out of the lineup.
Right.
Taz was just tired. He was just tired. He was the politics of the position did not suit him well. I thought it was a loss for us because he was starting to get pretty good. And as we see now on AEW, he's he that was his calling. Taz was a product of Paul Heyman's and ECW, and they did an amazing job in building that character. And Taz did an amazing job of executing it. But his true calling seemed to be after he had neck issues and so forth. But being a broadcaster was I thought, a good fit for Pete. Good guy, and he's very well respected in the confines of AEW for sure. To this day, it does a good job on Dynamite and other broadcasts. So anyway, I hated to see him go. I thought he was did a great job, and it also spoke to, if he leaves, who's taking his spot. And that was something that had me concerned because I got to work with that person, whomever it may be, and we would soon find out.
Were you surprised to see him leave before WrestleMania? I mean, I know this sounds silly, but I know the contract was up March 31st, but we're less than a week away from WrestleMania. It does feel like most folks would say, hey, let me see if I can hang around and get one more Mania payday and be a part of one more big show. Taz didn't do that. Was that a surprise to you?
A little bit. I thought it was not the best strategy for Taz, but that's how he felt. He was he's a very, like some of us are, not unlike some of us, very hard-headed, very stubborn at times. So it was, I tried to talk him out of that deal. You ought to stay until WrestleMania, then make your departure. But he wasn't interested in that suggestion. So his mind was made up, and he wasn't going to change it for anybody.
Let me ask you, do you think Taz's issues, I know you said he was burnt out, he was tired. Was he tired of being produced in the headset? Was he tired of, Vince McMahon being in his ear? I mean, we heard that story from Mick Foley, or was it something else? Was it the travel or a combination of things, do you think?
I think it was just the overall how he was produced and how much hands-on the guy on the other end of the headset had, meaning Vince. So yeah, it was. I just think the system didn't do Taz any favors. He didn't like to have that much control, and none of us did. I've said that many times on these shows. It was challenging to work with Vince producing because he was so dominant, dominant, and he stifled your creativity at times. And I think that's what, in a nutshell, that might have been the largest reason for Taz wanting to get the hell out.
Well, we're finally here. It's WrestleMania weekend. And of course, we can't do a WrestleMania weekend without a big Hall of Fame induction. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame ceremony. We would see Dory Funk Jr. and Terry Funk inducted by Dusty Rhodes. Boy, talk about some legends here. I mean, it's pretty wild, I'm sure, for fans of the NWA and old school wrestling to see these three guys at a WWE show and Dusty Rhodes induct the Funks. I mean, Dusty and Terry had just a legendary feud. It had to make you feel good to see those guys again together.
Yeah, they got their moment. They got some flowers, well deserved. The only thing I would say on that scenario, from a negative point of view, is that I wish Dusty had been given more time, as well as the Funks, to say their piece.
Yes.
That would have been even better for me. But I'm a old school fan, and I know what the Funks and Dusty meant to the business in general. Huge. They meant everything at one point in time. So I'm happy. I mean, nobody deserved getting in more than the Funks. God Almighty! Look at the notes. You think they ever read them? Uh, but I wish they had more time and to tell their story. But it was cool. I like the Hall of Fame. I'm a big Hall of Fame fan. Since I went in, and Lawler and I went in together in 2007. Didn't seem like that long ago, but it has been a long time. So, but it was good. It was good.
We got Coco Beware being inducted by the Honky Tonk Man. And as a guy who grew up as a big fan of that era of the WWF, I liked seeing these guys again. But I do think that a lot of fans sort of pointed to Coco's induction and questioned the validity of the WWE Hall of Fame.
I heard that.
And I wonder, how did you reconcile that? Did you think that was fair when fans started to say, is this a real Hall of Fame if Coco's in? Or did you think Coco was worthy?
Well, I don't think he was unworthy. Was he at the top of my list? Probably not. But he'd serviced the business for many, many years. He came from humble beginnings, to say the least. I gave him the nickname Coco Beware back in the Mid South days. And he was a hell of an athlete. Hell of an athlete. Played. I think he played nose guard at a high level in high school in football. So, but I don't judge that stuff, Conrad. I mean, golly, how can any of us say, well, he definitively does not belong in the Hall of Fame? Based on what?
Right.
Your extensive research, your hours of thinking about it. Come on, let the guy have his moment. And so I thought on that topic, much was made of that it was undeserved. But there was talk about some of the guys that they didn't think Coco was deserving. But he was a man of color that contributed greatly in the business. And so I don't know. I just I don't have a big issue with that stuff. I really don't. I let them have their moment, let them have their fun, and let them have their memories. Let them keep them in a positive way.